me dead. I was lost and sad to the voices in my head. I'm gonna get up again. I'm gonna get up to another day. I'm gonna give it up again.
How's it going, everybody? We are back on the 540 show. This is the local flavor segment. Everything going on locally. I'm Ryan with my guy Thomas.
Hey, what's going on, y'all?
That's him. What's up, y'all? That's him right there. He's saying, what's up, man? And we're doing good. This is the local flavor segment. Like we said, this is everything going on locally that you really just need to know about, you know, if you're in the 540 area. First thing is first.
This hook, man, this thing gets me jazzed up.
Yeah, I'm trying to start this segment. This man is into the music right now. We've heard this song probably 300 times before.
And it's a great song every single time. What
Every
you got for me
single time.
first, brother, man?
I just really was reading this thing about the Red Dragon Brewery downtown. It is applying for a special use permit to increase its amount of beer it can produce, extend its hour, and also allow outdoor seating and food trucks to operate at its location. Have you ever been to the Red Dragon?
I have not, but I have been, like, past it, but that's
Every
awesome
day.
to hear.
I drive by it every day.
It's awesome to hear because I think that means that they've got good business and they're
trying to
needing-
expand.
Right, exactly. More time, more beer, more seating.
Well,
I love it. I
read
love every
at
part of it.
Fredericksburg.com, they've just realized that their ceiling's a little bit higher than what they anticipated, and they're trying, like you said, they're trying to grow. I've never been there. I don't know anything about it. I'm going, though. I'm going to go figure out what this place is about.
Well, this is the thing. Do you like, an honest question here, do you like different types of beers?
Yes.
Or do you like one specific type of beer?
I like one specific type, but I am not against trying different ones, you know,
Okay.
like different
Gotcha.
ales and seeing how they all different.
Gotcha.
The
So
way
you
they
can take a swig.
The way they make me feel is one thing, you know,
Right.
you know, the stronger the beer and everything like
Right.
that. But yeah, I want to get out there. And they said they'll have local food trucks, and they seem to be all about local, so maybe they'll want to talk to your boys.
Yeah, the 540 show. We'll go do some networking.
Yeah, the 540 show. That's us. But yeah, moving forward, I hope you went out to the Sandwich Invitational. Did you make it out, Tom?
I did not, unfortunately, but it was at the hospitality house, and I heard that it was fantastic.
Yeah, there was a lot of really good sandwiches involved there. I didn't personally make it out. I had something going on that night along as Thomas. We had the same thing going on.
Yeah,
we're doing the show. So
Busyness.
that's actually going on right now. So I actually hope you're there. Right now, as in when we're recording, when you're hearing it, it will have been over, and I hope that you've digested all the sandwiches you ate.
And if you haven't, then
call a doctor.
good luck.
Call a doctor.
Yeah, so but the whole Sandwich Invitational, I think that's a great idea because your boy's a big fan of sandwiches.
You
I'll
love
tell
sandwiches.
Listen, are you a tuna or turkey guy?
Do I have to be both? Why do I have to be both? That's not like
Yeah.
that's like an age old. That's not an age old debate.
Are you sure?
That's not an age old
Tuna
debate.
or turkey really
This man,
defines who's a person.
That's like,
is.
do you
Does
like
it
the
or does it
Redskins
not?
or the Cowboys?
That's pretty
Do
much
you like
the
the
only
Redskins or
question.
the Cowboys?
The only question that matters.
I like both.
You like the Cowboys and the
No,
Redskins?
that's not what I said. You're trying
You
to
heard it
say
here first on the 540 show.
Thomas-
Ryan likes the Cowboys.
Thomas just tried to ask me if I'm a turkey or a tuna guy. Like, you know, if I'm a, like if I like a, you know, a smoked cheese or, a Gouda. Like, this man really thought that turkey and tuna thing. But hey, if I had to pick one, like if you're asking me, if it's my last day.
Straight up.
It's my last day. You
day.
got turkey and you got tuna. And you're saying, hey, you get to eat one of these. Which one are you going to eat?
Which you picking?
Turkey.
That's a good question.
I'm a turkey guy.
Good answer. Good answer. Good answer.
I'm trying to think of what ham or turkey probably would have been a good one to ask.
Nah.
Those are kind of like,
Tuna or turkey,
different.
man. It really defines
Tuner.
Tuna. Because look, tuna is jam packed full of protein, right? When you go work out and you go to the pantry and you see one of those nice packets.
I
of
was
tuna,
talking to you about the other day about the reason that you got these packets.
I don't have the packets.
Okay, well,
I've got the cans.
I have the packets at my
got
house,
the cans.
and I remember telling you this that the pink salmon packets have lots of protein in them.
That's
If you
salmon, not tuna.
but listen, the salmon has more protein in it than the tuna, so I'm one-upping you in the protein department there, Mr. Laphole. And if we're being honest here, you'd have to eat probably 18 tuna packs to get the amount of protein you need. So eat a good old piece of chicken.
Yeah, right.
But hey, the area is changing drastically very quick. It's that time of year where if you live in the South, it goes from being very hot to very mild. The leaves start falling off the trees. And this is my favorite time of the year. What is your favorite part about fall in general, Tom?
Well,
Whoa, stunned him.
the trees. Well, I was gonna say the trees and the leaves.
You can still say it.
That was my biggest thing. You know, this area does get really nice. We're surrounded by a lot of trees. You go up north where there's a lot more buildings and, you know, stuff like that, you don't.
No trees.
You don't get
Yeah.
no trees. That's what I'm
no
getting
trees.
at. No trees.
Up north, they actually don't even have trees.
Yeah.
They created another form of oxygen,
Yeah, right.
and they're using that up there up
It's
north.
called Nova. They breathing nothing but Nova.
Yeah, so I really enjoy that it's football season again, and
It is, and you know what? I'm excited about that because I took an extreme hiatus off of football during the whole off season.
yeah, I did too. I got crushed by the last game of the season for the Redskins, and it kind of I'm still a giant football fan, but after that day, for some reason, I just couldn't even watch the big, like the Super Bowl is obviously the Super Bowl. Boy loves Super Bowl,
Right.
but the way it ended, just kind of it was a gut punch. It was a long grind season, and it just got a gun punch right at the end. But I'm back. I'm in full blown football mode,
Yep.
and just to let you guys know. You will be hearing the interview with Matt Kreitz, who is the public address announcer at Massaponax High School, coming up in this very segment. Right
Yeah.
after we are done talking about stuff that doesn't really even matter that much, we'll get to something that matters a whole lot, and that's an interview with him. So that was actually a really great interview, and I think you guys will really enjoy listening to it. Do you have any closing thoughts about this local flavor segment?
I just appreciate everybody who listens, and I want you guys to get ready for this awesome interview that you're about to hear.
Yeah, and we really we hope to get more interviews. We're kind of actually hitting a spot to where we have some spots available to have some interviews. We were booked up until now, so hey, please contact us if you want to get on the 540 show, and we will tell you everything you need to do to hop on here. If you want to hop on here with us, we would enjoy having you sitting across from us talking about whatever it is you think is important.
Yeah, so having said that, here goes the Matt Kreitz interview right now.
Hello? Hello? Hey, this is Ryan, and this is the local flavor segment. Goodbye. Welcome back to the 540 show, everybody. I'm with Thomas, as always.
Hey, what's going on, y'all?
And we have a special guest in studio, the public address announcer for your Massaponax Panthers, Matt Kreitz, is in studio, everybody.
Thank you all for having me.
No problem, no problem. Happy to have you here.
It's very nice to finally meet you because for a very long time, I feel like I've heard your voice. I feel like
Yeah.
I've known you for so long, but I've never gotten a chance to finally meet you face to face. So this is actually kind of awesome for me.
Yep.
Yeah, I get that a lot. A lot of people, they recognize the voice, but once they see me in person, they're like, oh, that's what you look like.
Right, absolutely.
That's awesome. So football season is coming near, so we figured we'd get you on the show. This is going to be his 15th season as the public address announcer for the Massaponax Panthers. What got you into this is what me and him were talking about when we first figured out you were going to be on the show. Like, how'd you get into this in the first place?
Well, I actually entered Massaponax my freshman year was in 1999. So the school had only been open for 1 year. I was the second freshman class to go all 4 years. And during those initial 5 years that the school was open, we had a couple different teachers just off and on switch doing the announcing for the football games. Well, when I graduated in the spring of 2003, I was going to be staying in the Fredericksburg area. So I actually went to the principal, who was Joe Rodkey at the time, the athletic director, it was Jim Manchester, and I went to them that summer right after I graduated. And I said, you know what, I want to get in on this. Can I, try to get in on the rotation and announce a game or two? They were real hesitant about putting the microphone in the hands of this 18-year-old kid.
Oh, I bet, yeah. 'Cause that's a big platform.
Yeah, I had never done anything like this before. They were like, all right, maybe we'll let you try a scrimmage. First game, I can't remember if the first game was actually a scrimmage or the first regular season game, but they said, we'll take it game by game, let you do the first game and see how it goes. And I've been doing it ever since.
That is awesome. That's awesome. Do you know who was addressing before you?
Lane Bird. Mr. Bird was a teacher at Massaponax. I know he did the majority of the games.
Oh, wow. So they just had the teachers in there doing it.
Yeah, like
Wow.
I said, there was a teacher. I know he did most of them, and then a couple times a few other teachers switched off with him.
Well, that's awesome to have you. It's really nice to have a steady guy who knows the team and everything going on. It really adds to the flair of the environment at Massaponax. So did this something you've always wanted to do, be a public address announcer, or did you just see like what was going on at Massaponax and be like, hey, that seems cool? Or something like you always inspired to do?
Yeah, no, I never really inspired to do it. It was just something that I love sports, especially football, and I was going to be staying in the Fredericksburg area anyway, so I said, I'll be going to the games on Friday nights just because I enjoy, Massaponax football and all that. So might as well try to get into the game for free. And,
That's one way to look at it. Yeah. Any way to get in the
up
game.
at the press box, right at the 50-yard line, up high. I mean, there's no better seat in the stadium than the press box at Panther Stadium. So it was a really cool opportunity for me. And 15 years later, I'm still there and still love doing it.
That's awesome.
Well, how long do you aspire to do this for? Any plans of doing this forever? Any moves in the near future?
We'll see. I mean, as long as they'll let me do it, and as long as it's still fun, that's what gets me going. Is just doing it week after week, year after year. It's always the new season brings something to look forward to, keeps it fresh, and so as long as we keep that going, then I hope to be there.
Yeah, and the Ponix Nation's definitely grown over the years from what it was. It always used to be this tough grit school. That's kind of where it started, and now it's the social media with them being, having the regular seasons they've had. You actually, I see you were like, everybody turns to you for what's going on with Massaponax, the tweets and everything like that. When did you decide to jump into the social media aspect and really help people out there?
That's something that I try to do to get the students engaged. And, the high school students, it's all about social media now and has been for the last few years. Yep. And I don't enjoy when the students go to the games and just talk to their friends, hang out on the track, hang around the concession stand. I like to see the student section, the Massaponax Maniacs, as they call themselves now, stationed right there at the 50-yard line watching the game. That's what I like. I like, getting them engaged, getting them involved. I did create the hashtag Ponix because I wanted something real short because of Twitter's 140-character limit. Right. But something that everyone would know what you're talking about when you use that hashtag. And so it's real simple, real short. Something you can easily search on. So if for some reason you can't make it out to a game on Friday night, you're sitting at home or wherever you are, you can get on your cell phone, get on your tablet, search hashtag Ponix, and all of the scores are there, the highlights of the game. I try to tweet out pictures, videos, I mean, as much as I can.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool. So once again, we are in studio with public address announcer for the Massaponax Panthers, Matt Kreitz. We are happy to have him in studio. With football season coming near, what do you expect from the Panthers this year? Have you gotten out to see the team practice at all, or are you just going to learn, when the first game comes around, take the scrimmage and everything like that?
Yeah, no, I haven't got to see them yet, and typically I don't go out to the practices before the season starts. I like to just go out there the first game of the season and go from there. What they do out on the field really doesn't affect me in the press box.
Yeah.
I'm there. It's not about me as a person. I'm there to inform the crowd and support the kids out on the field that are the athletes and the real reason why people are there to watch the game. And so I do drop in maybe 1 or 2 practices before the season starts. And the only reason why I do that is because I stand on the sideline with a clipboard and the roster next to a coach. And I'm like, okay, how do you pronounce his name? Name pronunciations are the biggest thing for me because I know those kids are working hard. Their families, their friends, they're up in the bleachers there to watch them and support them. And if I mispronounce their name, I hate that, because I know that they do work so hard. So I want to make sure that I get it right.
Yeah, that's awesome because I was saying I always thought the names in sports have to be so hard to get right.
Incredibly.
When you see the other roster from the other team and he's the running back and you don't know how to say his name, that's got to be tough knowing you're going to call his name 30 or 40 times a night. So you better get it right. Yeah, that's definitely awesome.
So what's your, obviously Cortland isn't on the schedule this year and we've have a very long history with Cortland. What are your thoughts on that?
The Cortland rivalry was near and dear to my heart. Like I said, I was the second freshman class to go all 4 years.
So you remember why it's a rivalry.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's the biggest thing. When Massaponax first opened, we did get some students from Spotsylvania High School, but the majority of the students that came into the new Massaponax High School were from Cortland or they were going to be Cougars. And so they grew up, if their parents did take them to local games, they grew up going to Cortland games. If they had older brothers and sisters, they were wearing the blue and white.
Absolutely.
So Massaponax opens, and it was an instant rivalry. I mean, I think if you look it up on Google Maps, I think it's 3.8 miles separates the schools, something like that. So you have obviously the close geographical area, as well as the new students coming into Massaponax from Cortland. So it was an instant rivalry. Now that that rivalry is not there anymore, obviously I'm disappointed. I love the Cortland game, but you could definitely understand why I don't think it really meant as much in the more recent years as it did 10, 15 years ago.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So you've called a lot of awesome games at Massaponax, all of them being home games. What are some of the more memorable games you remember from calling the games and everything like that? Because there's been a lot of great ones.
A lot of them.
Tons. I mean, obviously the very close games, the late fourth quarter, comebacks. I remember one game in particular. I think it's been maybe 10 or 11 years ago now. Fox 5 up in D.C. was having some kind of like promotion, and it was the high school game of the week. And
I remember that.
It was the Garfield Massaponax game.
Garfield,
Yeah,
exactly.
2007. Yeah, playoff game.
And we had to get in through a fan vote. First of all, was to be declared the game of the week. And I mean, Fox 5 up in D.C., they came all the way down, which normally they focus on just Northern Virginia, D.C., and Southern Maryland schools. So it was a big trip for them to come down. They brought a helicopter. I remember the aerial shots of the stadium. So that definitely stood out. And just really all the games where the bleachers are packed and filled with fans that are into the game. That's what it's all about. The players on the field, the fans in the bleachers. When the fans get involved, that's really what makes my job easy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that game, that Garfield game was. I remember stepping down onto the field because I was a freshman. And I had just been called up to varsity for the playoffs. So you walk out and they had the lady on there doing the interview, and the helicopter was flying over. I just remember the atmosphere to that game was definitely up there.
Yeah, very cold night too. I remember that.
Yeah.
It was, and kind of a funny story behind the scenes as far as I was involved with for as long as I can remember, before the game starts, I always play the NFL on Fox theme song.
Yeah.
Da 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 da. So I've been playing that, and I'm like, man, now that real Fox is going to be here, I wonder if they're going to be mad. Like, am I using their copyrighted material? So I remember they had a producer down in the stadium that was setting up all the mics and cameras before the game. So I kind of pulled him aside. I told him what I did. And, that I used that song before every game. And I was like, do you think that'd be okay? And he was like, yeah, man, that's great. That's awesome. We love that.
Okay,
and so I actually ended up playing that clip several times throughout the game just because they were there, to kind of add to the atmosphere.
That's awesome.
That's a great clip, too. That gets me going every time when I go to the games, for sure. Once again, we have Matt Kreitz in studio, the PA address announcer for the Massaponax Panthers football team. Make sure you're getting out to the games this year. The first game is August 25th at home.
At home?
Against Chancellor.
Against Chancellor.
Okay, I saw a bunch of different schedules, but now we have that right. So make sure you get out to the games this year. There's been a lot of really good players to come through. Is there any players that you really enjoyed calling first downs for?
Yeah, I mean, tons of players. The number one biggest one that stands out has to be DeAndre Houston Carson.
Yeah.
The first and only player so far to make it into the NFL. And I still remember the way how I pronounced his name or enunciated his name when he'd carry the ball. I had a special way of saying DeAndre Houston Carson.
Yeah.
And so I remember I said his name like that every time. And then when he was drafted into the NFL and millions of people heard his name get called, that was a really special time. But we have tons of players that have gone on to play in college.
Absolutely.
UVA. We have a couple of Virginia Tech now.
The Mahotas have all been through there.
Exactly.
It's one big family.
Yeah, it is. And so to pinpoint any more than that, I just couldn't do because I'd be leaving so many more off.
Especially with the offense, he knows being a former quarterback, so many different people get the ball.
Sure.
That's like, how can you really, you're calling one guy's getting the ball one play, another guy's getting, it's not like we have one running back that's going to tote the ball the entire game.
Because most times we had multiple running backs rush for over
being
600 yards.
Calling the game for us has to be tough because, you know, how can you tell sometimes who has the ball? You know, you're trying to figure out which number carried the ball and making sure you said the right guy got the call. So that's got to be tough as well.
Yeah, and sometimes I can't tell, and and you know, I sit up in the press box with a pair of binoculars and I try, but the way how our offense is set up and the way how it's run, I mean, that's just the Coach Ludden's way of running that offense is designed in a way that you don't know who's going to get the ball. Sure. There are 3 or 4, sometimes 5 players out there on the field that could get that ball. That quarterback's making the decision at the last second of who's going to get it. And
you're trying to follow all of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I still go to the games, and I mean, I haven't played in the system, and I can't figure out who has the ball at times with Coach Ludden throws in so many different wrinkles here and there. So, yeah, it's definitely changing. So that's awesome that you can keep up and do such a great job that you do. That's really cool.
That's right. And so, and speaking on that, do you notice throughout the different generations of kids that have come through Massaponax, have you noticed a change in the style of play, or would you say Massaponax football in general has always been pretty constant in the way that they play?
I think it is pretty constant. I think that it says a lot to Coach Ludden.
Absolutely.
The fact that he's been there since Massaponax opened. His coaching staff has been extremely, you know, stable, and the type of program that he runs as far as the offensive schemes, the defensive plays, it has been stable and consistent. And what I think the best part about that is the student athletes that do come through year after year, and they're able to adjust to that and come into that system and be able to run that every single year. So I think that speaks attributes to them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so what would you say the atmosphere of the stadium has changed throughout the years? Can you tell if it's going to be a down year right off the bat or an up year as far as the fan base goes? Because I know some years it's been down, and some years it's been really good. So is that something you notice right off the bat when the season starts?
Yeah, you know, that's a good question. I don't know if it has a lot to do with the team. I know there are a lot of other factors as far as the weather. You know, we now start playing the last week of August, and there's games where it's 100+ degrees outside.
Right.
We have to delay the start of the game because it is so hot and the players aren't allowed to put on their helmets and pads yet. I think a lot changed when Riverbend opened. When Spotsylvania County added that 5th high school, they redrew all those lines, and so we lost some students, and so that had a lot to deal with it. But I do go to almost every Massaponax away game, so I have the opportunity to go to a lot of different stadiums, and obviously I might be a little biased, but I think Massaponax has the best fans in high school.
Oh, of course, and we definitely noticed on the field from the band plays such a big part in the game. They seem to know exactly what to do and when to do it, obviously, and like when to get the crowd riled up when things are going on. So I just think the chemistry of Massaponax always being, like you said, consistent has really helped it grow and thrive every year.
Yeah, and you mentioned the band. That's another thing. The Marching Panther Pride has been under the direction of Corey Cuck ever since the school opened.
Amazing director.
And so again, that's the same thing ever since the school opened. You know, the fans do contribute a lot. I'm sure that you could speak to this as former players as far as making noise on when we're on defense and trying to distract that offense. And when the crowd gets into the game, that's what makes my job easier.
Yeah.
And as a high school PA announcer, I don't have the benefits that they have at college and the NFL of big giant jumbo screens and the ribbon screens that go around that tell you to make noise and things like that. All that has to come from our fans and their football knowledge, the football players down on the field, the cheerleaders down on the track, the band, all of that coming together. And I think that Panther Stadium is definitely by far the best football atmosphere in the Fredericksburg region.
Perfect.
I have to agree.
I'd have to agree with you also. There's nobody beating Massaponax as far as that's concerned.
And I don't think there's a better note to end on than that right there. So once again, we really appreciate having you in studio today and taking time out of your day to come see us. Once again, we have Matt Kreitz in studio. He announces all the games at the PA. He's a public address announcer for Massaponax High School. Make sure you're getting out to the games this year. The first game is August 25th against Chancellor High School. Make sure you are there.
Absolutely. And thank you very much for taking the time and for coming in and meeting us and being on the 540 show with us. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. You guys have done a great job, and I was really happy to be here.
All right, perfect.
Awesome. And we will be right back with What You Don't Know Outside the 540. We have a lot going on in that segment. JP St. Louis will be calling in to join us, so make sure you're staying tuned for all that when we come right back.
Boom.